The 3 tank, 3 support team composition, or NIP composition as it is often labeled, has continued to rise in popularity in the professional meta. The question of whether or not this team composition is overpowered is still a lingering one. It remains questionable. Recently in the Overwatch Open, we've seen the triple tank setup sustain a blow to its reputation, with a strong return to more traditional setups defeating the triple tanks, albeit with heavy involvement still from Ana. Whether or not this is temporary, a result of the skill of these teams, or something else, I'm unsure. One thing that's certainly worth mentioning is that the teams that are able to defeat it tend to be highly skilled upper Tier 2 and Tier 1 teams. I pose this thought because I'm extremely worried about what it could do to the environment of Overwatch professionals, those trying to make big money off of this game. Part of the strength in the strategy, it has been noted, is the simplicity. It's just easier for the weaker teams to run. What if this begins to poison the ecosystem at this level of play? We don't want to see a situation where the Tier 2 teams become so accustomed to running this composition that they're unable to practice and regress to the level of skill needed to run traditional team comps that could beat Tier 1 teams. It's a dangerous situation because if this thought process is correct, it's really hard to patch out. But whether this situation will come to fruition is still only a thought experiment. We've yet to see evidence of this, and if anything, most evidence from the Overwatch Open seems to point to triple tank either being overpowered or beatable by traditional team compositions, so long as that traditional team composition includes an Ana. Believe it or not, this is just the introduction to my argument. There are a variety of tangents I could go off from here, such as how it seems like the game revolves around which supports are dominating the meta at the time, or asking why Blizzard feels the need to make the ultimates from the supports more useful than any other ultimates in the game. Instead, I'll deal with Ana and how I would change her. On the subreddit, we've seen a variety of posts talking about how Ana could be changed, how she affects the meta problematically, etc. It's pretty reminiscent of when Mercy was OP, or Zenyatta was OP, or Lucio when he always was and still is OP. If you need a primer on the problems that Ana presents, I've linked below in the description to a post on the r/competitive Overwatch subreddit, detailing the problems she poses to the overall meta right now. Note that the poster left out a really large strength of Ana's ults, and that it allows much greater ult charge for the person boosted, since they get a damage boost. Reinhardt gets about 10% ult charge whenever he swings while Ana boosted, which provides for pretty good momentum in the course of the map round. That said, he or she pretty much nailed every other point of how Ana could be problematic and how she affects the overall meta. Now we get to the actual argument, how I would change her. My solution is pretty simple. I would rework her ult. She would still gain her ult at the same rate as she does in the current live version of the game, not her nerf charge rate in PTR. Upon ulting someone, that person will be restored to full health and will be utterly invincible while ulted. However, they will not receive the speed boost or damage boost currently associated with Ana's ult. As a result of the lack of this damage boost, the amount of ult charge a character would gain during an Ana boost would be nowhere near as great as the ult charge they would gain currently. This change would also introduce more strategy into Ana's ult, making it similar to the other healer ults and predicting when to use it for the most effect. Do you use it as an opening ult in a rush, or do you save it for later when one of your people are weak? Or maybe hold on to it for a little later when the push is dying out? Or even use it in order to tank Zarya's Graviton Surge, if one of your tanks are in front of your whole team, while the enemy team is bombarding your team from that direction. There are a variety of situations that Ana would have to take under consideration. As a result, the skill ceiling and skill floor for Ana would go up, both making it harder to run her if Ana isn't a good player, but rewarding a skilled Ana to the point that a player could carry their team. It would also make it harder to run 3 support, 3 tank, since a core tenet of the strategy is that it allows for a compounding effect, where Reinhardt will get his ultimate early and often as a result of the nano boost. Reinhardt would still get it early, but it would require more planning and coordination and the need to get in much closer when activating the ult. This would be something that the enemy team would come to recognize, and it could form an interesting back and forth between the teams and their positioning. It would also mean that Ana doesn't have to be pocketing the person she ults. The invulnerability means they stay alive, and Ana can just keep healing her other teammates. So this wouldn't be a straight nerf to Ana. It would maintain a high utility to her ult, which is probably vital to keeping her in the professional level meta. I'm borrowing the phrase interesting rather than right here from Thorin, popular YouTuber, analyst, and journalist for CSGO. I don't intend my idea to be the only or rightest way to address Ana. I simply intend my idea to be the most interesting. A way to bring Ana more in line with the other healer ults without enabling the absurd strategies we see right now in the meta. I also wanted triple tank to still have a niche viability, but also increase in terms of strategic difficulty in pulling off. Other much smaller changes to her ult are certainly possible, and would not drastically change how one plays her. Blizzard's nerf to her ult charge rate in the latest PTR is one possible solution to the worrisome NIP strategy. Preventing characters from getting ult charge while they are nano boosted is another simple solution to preventing the triple tank meta from being easy to pull off. But I fear this would possibly remove the composition from popular use entirely. Removing either the extra damage or extra speed alone would also go a long way toward addressing her. These are all changes that would work, but I think they're less interesting. Hopefully the PTR change will be enough to make Ana still viable, but not leave her too viable. If it isn't a good enough solution, my proposed change is still available to use, on the wild chance that Blizzard would be a fan of it. And of course, the multitude of other changes that the community has suggested are available as well. Overall, it's a pretty good situation, the amount of fixes that can be made to Ana without making her useless, and I can't wait to see what Blizzard does with her should the PTR change not be enough.